Daniel Penny, his client, turned himself in shortly after 8 a.m. Eastern time. Penny, of course, is the man who put Jordan Neely in the subway in a chokehold, killing him. And of course, he's expected to be charged with second-degree manslaughter. One of the things he just said a few moments ago, Thomas Kniff, was that he described Penny turning himself in as doing so honorably and in a way that is characteristic of service to this country. Of course, Penny, a U.S. Marine veteran, so that may give us some clues into how they intend to defend his actions in this particular case. But again, it is one that has ignited a firestorm of not just protests here in New York, but also discussions about homelessness, mental health, basically all of the factors that ended up, as we understand, putting Jordan Neely in this situation in the first place.
So there you have Daniel Penny turning himself in after the fallout from that killing of Jordan Neely on the subway that everyone has seen. And then it seemed like nothing was really else was going to happen. Well, he's not turned himself in, and his attorneys also were speaking about a little bit of their approach and maybe the strategy that they're going to use as he's been charged with second-degree manslaughter. Let's watch.
He's dealing with the situation, like I said, with the sort of integrity and honor that is characteristic of who he is, characteristic of his honorable service in the United States Marine Corps, and he has held up.
Now, Daniel Penny, 24-year-old U.S. Marine veteran, that's part of why his attorney referenced that. And on the other side of things, Jordan Neely. So his family attorneys are expected to make a statement a little bit later this morning to react, but they have been calling for this arrest since this happened. Obviously, it's been more than a week's time at this point, and that's part of what's driven a lot of the protests here. That bottom line, people feel that no matter what happened leading up to this chokehold, that they don't feel this should have resulted in death.
Seems to be no matter what's going to go on with this whole trial, first off with the charge of second-degree murder, to even people's thoughts of whether or not Jordan Neely's life mattered enough for people to care, which we're going to see how much people don't care about that as we go through this. It's going to be one of those things where no matter what, there's going to be plenty of people that are very upset about it. Again, which goes to the way our society approaches these things. As Jordan Neely was dying there and other folks were kind of hovering around, it wasn't the thought necessarily of this is a really big problem. This is some random guy getting choked out on the subway. It's just New York, it's whatever. And this guy was scaring us. But still, as Penny turned himself in, he's only 24 years old, by the way. As you see, the attorneys talking about how they're going to point out his military background, and that's going to be the approach that they're going to take. More images of that's happening. So he left the police precinct in handcuffs. This is again on Friday today, after surrendering and was later arraigned. He did also release his. He was not required to enter a plea, as you know, he waived those reading of his charges there in court. And Manhattan prosecutors and the defense agreed to a bail package, including $100,000 cash insurance bond. So there's one more part of this, Miranda. I want you to jump in after this, because this is not fascinating, but I guess expected, because there was a fundraiser that was started for Daniel Penny's legal defense. Now, again, when this was produced maybe a couple hours ago, you guys, let's look at this. It was over on Give, Send, Go. It's a Christian crowdfunding site. I want to say that again. It's a Christian crowdfunding site. And at that point, when we made this graphic, it was $164,000, just over. I looked again before we came in here, and it was around 400,000. So you can imagine where this is going. The support for someone who did something like this be strictly based off of the fact they don't like the way people responded and wanted some kind of legal accountability to come to him has now gotten us to this point. What are your thoughts here, Miranda?
Yeah, it makes me wonder how many situations we have had before the past couple of years where there wasn't major public outcry in order for something to be done about it. It's raising money for his defense fund is so rough for me, because when did police become judge, jury, and executioner? And when did that become acceptable? And when do people not only accept but support that? It's nice to see that he's being charged, that he's gone in, but it's difficult to see the amount of support for him just having the authority and the audacity to, no matter what, decide I'm going to execute this person right here, right now, because I feel like it and because I have a backing. I was in the military, it's police. I have people who are gonna support me no matter what actions I take.
And that's the approach he saw. And again, also part of this is talking about the second-degree manslaughter. And then his family actually wanted some murder charges. Look at that really fast, because this is what they said. We believe that the conviction should be for murder because that was intentional. That's what the Neely family attorney said. And he said at some point when people are screaming, let him go, you're gonna kill him, he could have chosen to let him go, but he didn't. And what do you think would happen if he didn't? He had to know he would die. He had to. That's what another Neely family attorney said after this, which again, I hadn't even thought about at that point because I didn't realize people were saying, yo, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna kill him, he's dying, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna kill him. So if you hear all that, and obviously I think everyone knows when you place a chokehold on someone long enough, they stop breathing. That's the whole point. That's why they're incapacitated as you do it. It's why when holds are done in sports like UFC, mixed martial arts types of things, there's tap outs and there's someone pulling your arm off of someone's throat because that's dangerous. I think everyone knows that. Anyone who definitely knows how to apply a chokehold, I think knows the severity of it. But we'll see where this trial goes. And again, like I said, no matter what, it's gonna be a problem for folks who don't get the way that they thought it was gonna be.